You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, DC League of Super Pets.
First animated movie review.
Is it really our first animated movie review? I think it is.
It is. Yeah,
I can't think.
It is.
Yeah, it is. So that's exciting.
Yeah. it's odd now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not in my typical critical fashion. Because it is an animated movie.
Right.
But still, if they release it,
It's harder to
I'm gonna
critique
criticize
animated
it.
movies, right? Because it's just for fun. Is mostly what
it
they're
feels
for.
like.
I mean, they're just fun. And spoiler warning ahead. I'll go ahead and give that in case if you don't care about spoilers, because it's like spoilers for this movie isn't that much of a big deal.
Yeah, I would say so.
So if you don't really care about spoilers, that's fine. Just come on, listen anyway, and we'll give you what you thought and see if it's worth seeing in theaters. If you're a DC fan, it's worth seeing in theaters.
Yeah.
If you have kids, it's worth seeing in theaters. But if you're just a casual, I would say wait till HBO Max release. Personally,
Save your 12, 13, $14 and just chill, man.
Personally,
Use it for your first month of HBO Max.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
Do what you need to do there. But so initial reaction. So I think this movie, obviously the reviews. I think I dislike it more than the reviews, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's good. I think it's entertaining. Worth the watch, yes. But it's not like as elite as a lot of people have been saying.
It's not elite, and I wasn't expecting that either. But I'll tell you, Michael, because we watched it together. But I did enjoy it.
I did.
I did enjoy it. I cried 3 times during
crazy.
it. I'm thinking back on it now. I am emotional. I'm an emotional man. All right. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not a masterpiece, but it does fit well with the DC universe. It's creative, it's funny, and I think it has its own little niche right now. As it, there's nothing else really like it.
Yeah,
a
that
movie
is very
about
true.
their pets.
Very true.
I think it's cool. I enjoy it, but we'll get into more.
Right. And I think, it does. I don't think it ruins DC's hot streak necessarily. I think DC's still pretty good.
Yeah.
On a pretty good trail
and
right
if
now.
it did, I would just have a hard time being able to compare it to
the
the
live
Batman.
action.
Like how, even if it sucked, how we could say it ruins it when it feels like it's just so. It feels distant, but they do a good job of making it feel close.
Right. And personally, this movie, I did think it would be a little bit better than it was, but overall, I think, it has definitely some redemptive qualities, some great stuff, some great voice acting. So we'll talk about that. So to get into our characters, obviously we have to talk about our main one, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, being Crypto, the super dog.
He killed it.
He killed it.
The concept, if obviously spoilers, but if you don't know, Crypto, has powers the same as Superman. He escapes with Superman. But the thing that happens in the film, the second act, or maybe in the first act, I forget which, but he loses his powers.
Yeah.
And then we get to see the dogs without powers get powers. So it's really cool getting to see Crypto kind of struggle with that, that new feeling. He's just a regular old dog now.
And he was hilarious. He was
Absolutely
great.
funny, yeah.
So funny. Great lead character. I've always been a fan of Crypto the Superdog. I watched Crypto the Superdog, the cartoon, when I was a kid. So I love seeing it in this live action movie, and of course The Rock voicing him. Who could get better?
Dude, it's funny.
Yeah, that was great.
I was just imagining The Rock's face the entire time I heard it. Really,
that's funny.
But no, I thought he did a good job.
I do too.
I enjoyed
think
Crypto.
there was often times where I actually forgot it was The Rock, so that's kind of cool.
I know.
I
I'm
think
saying
he did good.
He has such a recognizable voice.
He does.
And to be able to forget that is quite an accomplishment.
Right. So I did enjoy Crypto in this movie. Obviously, he was your stereotypical protagonist. The things that happen to him as we've seen it before. A bunch of times throughout the comics and cartoons and movies. So that wasn't too big of a deal. But I do think he was a great job in this movie. I think he was definitely one of the highlights for sure. I don't want to say he carried, but I do think he was he was definitely a pro, definitely a very great character.
For sure.
And I enjoyed watching him, seeing his relationship develop with other characters along with Superman. And all those things, and just seeing him be a dog and have dog traits, but also be a superhero dog.
Yeah, but also be talking. That was one of the most intriguing parts about the film.
Yeah, that was cool.
Seeing him get jealous,
and they play with the
that.
dog stereotypes very well.
Yeah.
I feel like in this movie, and Crypto does show that. I mean, it definitely. I mean, he was a dog, just a dog with superpowers. So that was cool. He was a dog. Anything else to add about Crypto?
That's about all, man.
Next up, we have to talk about my probably personal favorite from the movie, and that being Ace the Bat Hound.
Dude, he stole it, man.
He carried it.
He's hilarious.
I think he carried it.
Kevin Hart as usual.
Yep.
If Kevin Hart ever put on a dog suit, I think he'd be just like Ace.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To be honest.
For sure. I mean, he did. Now him he was Kevin Hart. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think he killed it as Ace. I think he fit the role perfectly. My thing is, in the comics and in the cartoon, Ace was a lot more serious.
Yeah.
A lot more. He was Batman. Right?
Yeah,
He was serious.
Essentially,
Right.
We're talking about Kevin Hart. You're
Right.
not going to get that.
You're not
going to
get that. But
fit.
I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed how he did that, and I specifically enjoyed the relationship. I can't pronounce words.
Yeah,
The
Australian.
relationship between Crypto and Ace throughout the movie and its
Yeah.
developing was actually really well done.
It was hilarious,
A
yeah.
lot better, well done than most movies that we've seen. So that's cool to see that their relationship developed as dogs. And I really enjoyed Ace. I think he brought in a lot of comedy, but he was pretty serious.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most
The leader
part.
of the team, he was defensive, protecting all of them. But at the same
Yeah.
time, he was funny, and
Right.
I love being able to see his backstory,
Right.
because that provided so much more depth
Dude,
later.
his backstory
to
was
his
emotional.
character,
Man. It
yeah.
was really, truly
So,
emotional.
like you said, he was serious, but he was hilarious
He was.
too. So
He was. So I did definitely enjoy
I enjoyed Ace, man.
I mean, for sure, my favorite character from the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was great.
he was great.
I love Ace.
All right, next up, we got to talk about Lulu, who is our main antagonist, who is a guinea pig.
Guinea pig, a bald guinea pig.
A bald guinea
Um,
pig, like Lex Luthor.
I'll get into this a little bit later, but I mean, as a character, I really did enjoy her, and I found her to be extremely annoying and one of the worst parts about the movie. So
yeah.
if I could go back and maybe rewrite some of it, maybe I would go with a different type of animal, a more believable one to be
Yeah.
taken over the
Yeah.
world.
I would have gone
rather
with
than
like
a bald guinea pig.
I would have taken
a
it something like.
fox
I mean,
or-
I understand what they're going for, being a like lab rat, technically for Lex Luthor
Yeah.
and testing and stuff like that. But I think to take a page out of the bad guys movie, it'd be cool to see like a snake or
Yeah,
something like that.
tarantula, something along those
Yeah,
lines.
but I guess they were going for more of the guinea pig. She's the guinea pig.
Yeah.
She was being tested. So they're going for that. But personally, I think I enjoyed her a little bit more than you did.
Yeah.
I think she was funny. I was laughing at a lot of the stuff that she said. She definitely played in a lot of the stereotypes. I thought she would have a redemption arc in this movie, which she ended up did not.
Yeah, I was shocked she didn't.
Yeah, which I was glad.
I guess it's not Disney,
Yeah, I was glad she didn't have a
Warner
redemption
Brothers.
arc. That made me happy.
That's kind of cool.
But yeah, I agree. She wasn't the best villain for this movie. She couldn't be taken seriously. But at the same time, I was laughing quite a few times.
Yeah.
What she was saying, and then some of the actions that she did crack me up from time to time. Especially her interactions with Crypto was just hilarious. But I do get what you're saying for Lulu personally. But yeah. All right. Next up, we have the giant pig, PB.
PB. I'll also talk more about this later. I feel like PB appealed to an audience that wasn't myself.
I agree.
I don't know. I just didn't feel like it clicked with me. I think it would, maybe with younger. I think especially females,
Right.
Because obviously, she's like a Wonder Woman type character in this role. But I just didn't find her character that interesting.
Yeah.
About the movie.
I know, and I know it's a comedy, it's a kids film, it's an animation, but I think she was probably my least favorite character in this movie personally, especially out of the rest of the Super Pets,
The Suicide Squad. No, sorry.
the Suicide Squad. But I didn't really enjoy her that much. Even some of her comedy, I don't think I laughed at any of her jokes.
I didn't either.
If I'm being honest, so.
I
I didn't really like any of that. Even her powers, she didn't make me laugh. Honestly, most of the time when she was on screen, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like you. That was.
By the
that was
way, you
mostly
can
my
grow.
reaction. Yeah.
Shrink.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I wasn't a huge fan of PB, but other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say about.
Yeah, that's about
PB.
all.
Next up, we have. I do love this character because I would say that this was the funniest character in this movie, and that being Merton the turtle.
Goat.
The goat.
I think it'd be perfectly reasonable to argue that Merton might be like the best character. I think Merton kind of gives me like Creed vibe.
Yeah. She didn't have depth, but
from
she
The
had
Office.
awesome character.
It was just awesome character. It was just basically like all one-liners.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
like we said, Creed from The Office does the
I
exact
know,
same thing.
and some of the
no
things-
backstory.
No.
It's like just weird for no
just
reason.
weird for
yeah.
no reason, but it
I
worked.
love it. It
It worked.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I mean, talking about a turtle
Yeah.
that gets super speed.
I definitely laughed
you
at
know?
this character more than any of the rest.
Yeah.
She had me dying the whole time, and especially like
Freaking
a
hilarious.
lot of her scenes. If they didn't like censor this movie would have been like R.
Yeah, no, for real. And I will say to that point, I loved how instead of, just making the choice not to include those words, I loved how they just chose to bleep it out for the movies. I think that just gave her character, like, also, like, more depth.
Yeah.
Like, saying that, yes, it's a kid's movie and we're not going to, play this or nothing, but, like, our character actually
She did bleep it. She's say it.
Meaning this, And I think that's really funny because that fits perfectly with the character.
Yeah.
She doesn't care. Merton, she's herself.
She's flirts with random hats.
She's quirky. She flirts with hard hats, and she eats lettuce.
She flirted with Garfield, the fake cat. That was so hilarious. Funny. I was dying when the pig blew up, and she was like, "Hey, kid. Hey, what you doing later?" That was so funny. Beyond me, and I loved how she, of course, ended up with Flash because obviously that's the perfect pairing.
Makes sense.
And I was dying and rolling for Merton because Merton was definitely one of the funniest parts
stole
of the
show.
Stole the show
man.
on a lot of the scenes. At first, when they first bleeped out the word, I was shocked.
I know. I was like, what?
What?
Yeah.
They did that?
Yeah.
And at first, I was a little bit nervous. I was afraid like a lot of them kids, like the parents would walk out of the theater for that.
Yeah.
I mean, because I could see that for sure happening, and it probably has.
I'm not bringing my kid to no.
And there was some references. Obviously, there were adult references that would go a lot beyond.
Oh
kids,
yeah, there's a lot.
But there was some references, and I was like shocked that they put those references in this movie.
That's true.
But yeah, Merton. Gotta love Merton. Shout out. Next up, we got to talk about Chip the squirrel.
Chip. I think Chip is the character that had possibly the most potential, but they just failed.
They failed that.
I mean, you're talking about Chip. He's crazy. He gets, electricity. I think he should have been way more off the chain. Like, I think he should have been very Australian, to be honest. Like, Australian accent, not caring what he does.
I also don't think he should have been a squirrel. Because who is going to get a squirrel at a pet shop? Like, that makes zero sense.
Dude, who's going to get a freaking pig at a
Pigs make a little bit more sense than a squirrel. Because I know people have pet pigs.
That squirrel will bite your finger, man.
Like,
my friend had a squirrel one time.
Like,
and he bit him.
I'm trying to think of a different animal that would work for the role of Merton, but possibly maybe like a hamster or something.
Maybe. It's just something that's like small and crazy. A chihuahua, maybe.
Chihuahua.
But we already have a dog.
We already have 2 dogs
on the team. But something along those lines. But like, Chip was branded kind of as the crazy, like kind of dumb character, but he never did anything. He
definitely.
Merton just stole the scenes.
Oh, for sure. Like. He had the least amount of screen time out of the Super Pets, and they didn't develop him as good as they should have. I enjoyed him. But I think he could have been better. He could have been really his good. Whole arc was being afraid of doing things and then finally giving into that and doing something instead of being afraid to hurt himself or others. And giving into that. But I don't think
he had so much power too, and they didn't really play into that.
No. And then in the end, he kind of forgets his lightning powers and has a Green Lantern ring, which made no sense.
I know, I'm like, bro, what?
Because you're supposed to get that for having willpower. So I guess that was a good point because he did prove that he had will. That maybe that's an underlining theme that they showed, and they didn't necessarily say, but it was an underlining one. So I don't know.
Anyway,
but that concludes the Super Pets. Now we go on to the other characters involved in the storyline, and that first off being Superman, more specifically, and Lois Lane as well. Superman played by John Krasinski, which I think he did a great job.
He killed it.
Yeah,
I think it was great. Voice is a little different. I couldn't honestly just tell it was Krasinski.
Yeah,
but dude, I love the way they did Superman.
Yeah,
extremely comic.
I love
accurate.
the look. I love the look. I do think that they made his abilities dirty because, like, it's like, oh, he kryptonite, he's done. Like, come on, Superman's the most powerful character
bodied by a ball
in the Justice League, and one of the most powerful characters in DC in general.
Yeah.
And then every time that they've been used in him, and not only in this movie, but in other like live action renditions, he gets clapped by some kryptonite.
Yeah.
Like, how unrealistic is that? Like, it's not gonna happen.
I know.
Like, it makes me so mad because Superman's
you just
one
gotta
of those
remind
characters.
yourself it's like a kid's movie, so something bad has to happen.
Right.
And that's why I was arguing like it shouldn't have been a guinea pig. I understand the funniness of it, and it's like a theme of it, But as far as they did him, like just his abilities, his look, how he acted, I thought was really comic accurate.
It was.
And I'm glad they stuck like with the source material, to be honest.
And I like the interaction between him and Lois, and more specifically Krypto with that, and not really like getting jealous of Lois.
That was one of the best parts of the film.
That was a great part.
That's exactly what a dog would do. They're jealous
They
creatures.
get jealous, for sure, like anybody. So that's pretty cool to see as well.
Lois was goated as well. We didn't get too much of her in this movie.
No.
But we did get, I liked. And that seemed also very comic accurate,
Right, because Lois is a huge character in the comics. So it's really cool to see her. and Superman as well. But I am just anxious to finally get that Superman that we all been craving. Of one of the best superheroes of all time. I just really want to see that come into fruition. But obviously, it's a cartoon kids movie, so we can't get that here. But nonetheless, I did enjoy them in this movie.
Yeah.
Next up, we got to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Lex Luthor.
Dude, I honestly thought he was one of the better parts of this movie,
I
too.
liked him.
I thought he was a better villain than Lulu.
Oh, yeah.
Just straight up.
Lex Luthor's a great villain
He
in
was
general.
funny. He was, he was evil. He was, cunning. He was great. He reminded me of the Lex Luthor of old, despite, it being a kids movie. I thought he stole the show, to be honest.
He did. He did a great job. I loved him, becoming the villain again. Well, being the villain, then not being the villain, then becoming the villain again to not be the villain again.
Yeah,
I think that was funny.
Cycle.
He kept getting short run. It was great. I did enjoy Lex Luthor. I love seeing that interaction, and him as a big part of this movie was super cool to see as well. So I did enjoy Lex Luthor. I wish we got to see a little bit more of him, though.
Yeah, I do agree.
I think he should have been the villain.
The main villain.
The main villain. Even though it's Super Pets, I think it'd been cool instead of just being like, I forget Lulu. The Super Pets just go after Lex
Luthor
after
takes
capturing
out
the Justice League. I think that'd be cooler if I'm being honest. Up.
And that gives it way more stakes too. I mean,
I think this movie, I would have made the movie a lot better if I'm being honest.
I agree. I can't argue with you on that one.
I think that would be really cool. Next up, we got to talk about Batman and the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. I mean, honestly,
I wasn't too mad.
I think the biggest creative choice is the freaking Cyborg had an afro. Is that a half-fro?
Had a half-fro.
And then, honestly, we didn't have Hal Jordan. I don't think we ever got the name of the Green Lantern.
We did not. But there has been, multiple Green Lantern incarnations.
They changed that.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it was pretty vibey though. Aquaman was freaking hilarious.
He was funny.
Flash was just pretty, straightforward.
Flash probably had the least amount of screen time, and as a Flash fan,
he did.
I'm sad.
Well, yeah, remember in the first scene, he comes in the latest after everyone comes in.
Besides Batman.
Wonder Woman was the same. I felt like
Wonder Woman is good. But I think out of the rest of Batman was my favorite. Keanu Reeves killed it.
I feel like they did Batman a little dirty too, to be honest.
I loved Batman.
Like you said, at least with his powers, like Superman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Batman got bodied by 20 guinea pigs.
Dude, I think he was so funny though.
He was funny.
Man, but he just needed prep time. He just needed prep time. He needs
prep time, yeah.
Like it was so funny. Like every interaction, it's like, whoever Morgan Freeman played.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Oh, dude, yeah. We'll hit on that some more, but yeah, his lines are great.
Yeah, his lines are great. I love Batman. I think he was great. I love just his look and just making.
He's a massive old face.
Seemingly making fun of him, but at the same time, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious. So I loved seeing that. Next up, we got to get into our pros and cons.
All right.
So to start us off with the pros, Nathan.
All right. I'm opening my phone right now. My first pro is a comedy. Straight up. I think recently, especially with these kids' movies, we've seen a lot of, even live action too, a lot of forced comedy that just kind of ruins it. The last one being kind of Thor: Love and Thunder. But this movie, the comedy is not forced at all. It's genuinely funny. And it's refreshing.
Yeah,
I like the continual poking at the movie stereotypes and just stereotypes in general. I mean, we see a lot of making fun of Marvel. We see live references to like I said Morgan Freeman and characters. We see some of the characters. Corey, I think Nightmare on Elm Street and some of the lines. So I really found the comedy to be quite refreshing in this movie.
Right.
And I didn't think it felt cheesy or forced at all.
I agree.
It's a bright spot.
And I had that as my first pro as well.
Hey,
I thought it was super funny. I really enjoyed the comedy. I was laughing. Pretty much the whole time. It was super great. And like you said, it wasn't forced like Thor: Love and Thunder, but it was definitely more natural, which was great. And to piggyback off of that, I love how with the comedy, it makes fun of a lot of the stereotypes within superhero films, similar to what we saw earlier this month, or I guess last month because it's August now. Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. It is August.
Paws of Fury, right? Legend of Hank.
That movie's hilarious.
It is very
bro.
similar to that with making fun of the stereotypes.
It is.
Which I thought it was cool because obviously this is a plot that we've seen a million times before.
Yeah.
And make fun of those stereotypes and to do that, I think worked really well and I enjoyed that.
Let me hit you with my next pro. My next pro is I had Justice League and Lex Luthor as a pro. Going into this movie, I kind of worried that the movie really wouldn't put much of an emphasis on these characters at all.
Yeah.
And it did way more than I expected it to.
Yeah.
I thought these characters or their animation, just the way they acted, would be just way too cheesy. But I felt like it actually fit perfectly.
Yeah.
I felt like the animators' take on these characters were great. I thought their dialogue was absolutely perfect. And to be honest, I'd even watch just a straight up HBO special like with just that Justice League
Really?
and that same animation. I enjoyed it that much. I really thought that part was going to be a letdown, that they're just all going to be like an absolute pushover. But I found them actually like one of the better parts of the film.
I'm a little bit surprised by that, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know I hit you out of left field with that one.
All right. My next pro is just a reiteration of Krypto and Ace's dynamic. That was a huge pro for me. I love their relationship. I love how they grew from not really liking each other that much, from freezing each other's feet to moving on and becoming like best friends, and going from being Krypto and Ace to Krypto the Superdog and Ace the Bat Hound together as partners was really amazing to me. And to see the relationship grow and how they helped each other, not just Ace helping Krypto, but Krypto helped Ace, which was really, really cool to see. So the dynamic was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah.
Definitely carried a lot of it for me personally.
Playing along the same lines, along with the side characters like Ace, I had just straight up Merton. I know we talked about Merton earlier, but in a, I don't know, like a side character kind of theme filled with dark spots, I felt like with PB and was it Chip, right? It's a squirrel.
Yeah.
I thought Merton was, top one, top two character in this movie. Like we said, Merton's comedy was completely different than the whole feel of the movie, but yeah, it fits so well. And I thought that she was just, I don't know, she was awesome, dude.
Yeah, she was super
I don't know, she's one of my favorites.
I agree. Next up, I have the animation. I really like the animation of this movie. I think it was done really well. There was no like botchy parts. I think it was just really well done. Felt like a genuine cartoon of animation that I enjoyed.
Yeah. My last pro is exactly along those lines, but it's the color aesthetics of this film and just how Metropolis looked.
Yeah,
I thought it looked possibly more accurate than many live action projects that we've seen.
That's fair.
It kind of mixed that that current kind of modern look with the futuristic stuff of Lex Luthor. The colors were amazing, super bright, a lot of contrast. But I loved looking at Metropolis. Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts. Yeah. But like I said, that goes along with the animation. They killed it. They did. Knocked out of the ballpark with that one. But that was the last pro I had for the film.
My final pro goes more at the hilarity factor and the comedy, and that being just Batman's comedy. I loved Batman's comedy so much. Yeah. I have to reiterate it because it was just, I was laughing so much at Keanu Reeves' interpretation of Batman, the way they were making fun of him, of himself, and the way that he was going about it and doing things. And he's like, I'm Batman, was fantastic to me. And I loved that. And I thought it was just super funny. So I had that as a pro as well.
It was funny.
All right. I'm going to hit us off with our first con.
I know I have a list.
So for the cons, starting it off, we talked about this earlier, but I'll just talk about it again. That being the villain. Like we said again, obviously I liked Lulu a little bit more than you did because I think she was funny, but I do agree 100% that she's a weak villain. Definitely wasn't the best villain. I still like the idea of Lex Luthor being the main villain better. I think it would have worked more. But just the villain was just super disappointing. I feel like, with a guinea pig, it doesn't work as much. I feel like it could have worked, but it just didn't. And, kind of ripping off Doctor Strange a little bit in the look. And then,
I know, that's
the powers were so OP. And that for a flipping guinea pig and how they all get different powers and some of the powers were better than others, it just didn't make sense to me. And I just wasn't a huge fan of the villain.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. And I'll reiterate that too. Because Lulu was also my number one con of this movie. I never really liked her just from the get-go, and slowly it became, at least for me, I became just kind of agitated and annoyed every time like she had a line and she'd come on screen. Like I just found her dialogue, the way she acted, just very annoying.
Yeah,
like really annoying. Like I'd just be like, ugh, every time she talked. Like I said, I didn't like her at all. I know you said like obviously she wasn't a great villain, but then just like imagine that times 30 because all of her sidekicks were just mindless guinea pigs as well with all different powers that they never really explained.
And then two of them end up going to the light side and becoming super pets.
They really never explained her backstory. We know, she was experimented on, all this stuff. She was delusional. She thought that she and Lex were buddies, but we never got to understand why she was obsessed with world, domination,
yeah.
why she just wanted to rule, and just seeing how OP her power was, man, taking out the Justice League, like it just didn't make sense. And I think ultimately it came down to, I don't know, I feel like the dialogue and I don't know, Kate McKinnon's voice I just found really annoying in this role.
I like
not
Kate
usually,
McKinnon.
but
I usually do like her, but yeah, she's.
I don't know, but like I said, that. And the big thing too is she had so much flipping screen time.
Too much.
Like I feel like she had more screen time than the side characters. Along that Krypto was with like almost the entire movie. She had way too much.
I think she had more screen time than everybody except for Krypto Nace, and that's like ugh.
And I think the movie could have benefited just seeing more from that side group of characters, or from I don't know Lex. I don't know. Anyway, that was my big.
Gotcha. My next con is I don't want to say the plot necessarily, but more so the plot that has been done before and seen again a million times. I mean, yeah, they do make fun of it and they do make fun of the stereotypes, but at the same time, I was like, I would like a more creative and new original plot.
Yeah.
For a movie, because obviously there's been a lot of movies come out over the years, and a lot of it reiterates upon each other, and a lot of them go back upon each other. However, Hollywood is having a lack of creativity recently. Some of their movies have been not so and have been super creative and amazing, such as like Maverick and Everything Everywhere All at Once. But with other stuff, it's just been disappointing. But here, I want to see a little bit more creativity than was shown.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's definitely a valid point. My last big con, because I had to Lulu, and my second big con is just the lack of screen time and the lack of just written character development. Well, not even character development, just lack of character. I feel like for PB and for Chip specifically. Yeah. I mean, because besides them, all the characters were great.
Right.
Merton was great. Ace was great. Krypto was great. But like we said earlier, PB she didn't resonate with us very well. Whether that's just because of our ages, I'm not sure. She just didn't resonate well with me. And then Chip. I feel like he had a lot of potential to what he could have been, and I feel like they never resolved it perfectly, or even show what he could have done.
I agree.
I don't know. I just feel like it felt very forced that we were expected to believe that they had, their character had developed to these levels when we hadn't got to see enough of them. Basically,
I agree.
I don't know. It's just a huge contrast because, like I said, I mean. These side characters are really good, and these ones are down here. It didn't mesh well, and I think not just us, but other people could tell that too.
Yeah,
so I think
I
the
agree.
contrast definitely plays a part in it.
All right, for one of my cons, I have the Justice League's betrayal and ultimately the defeat of the Justice League. I mean, Justice League. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of them. For example, Cyborg wasn't that great. Aquaman was just like. Comedy. It's all
he was pure comedy, really.
And Green Lantern was just kind of there. I mean, it just didn't work as well. And then, more importantly, the biggest con is just their defeat because it's super unrealistic. Getting beaten by a bunch of guinea pigs by this greatest superhero team in that universe.
Yeah.
And that stinks because I really, really was anticipating them to go down a little bit better. If that makes sense.
To destroy them and eat them.
I know. See, that made me mad, but. I don't know. I did enjoy the ending though of them Justice League fighting with the Super Pets together to defeat Lulu as the big thing.
Yeah.
But overall, that was disappointing for me. And that's my last.
No,
con.
for sure. Oh, bet that was your last one too.
That was my last con.
Oh, bet.
All right. Next up, we got to talk about the end credits real quick here. There's not a lot to talk about, but we'll talk about them briefly here.
Yeah.
First one being Lulu again getting rescued by Lex Luthor's assistant.
I don't know her name, to be honest.
I don't know, and I don't know if this is supposed to lead to a sequel or if it's just for funsies or what.
I don't see how it wouldn't lead to a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everything that happened, as we saw, the assistant pulls Lulu out of hot dog water.
Yeah.
It's just weird to see, obviously she had power. She's floating around space, beating the Justice League, and now without power, she's in the hot dog water, like a normal guinea pig. It's just, I don't know, but I think what it does imply that the assistant is gonna use the smarts, the power of Lulu to help take down everybody again, and I don't think that bodes well for a sequel. No, I want to see a new idea, a new villain.
I agree.
You know,
we'll see. Maybe it could work. That's it for the first one. The
water.
second one was a lot better. It was a great end credit scene, actually.
Oh yeah.
And that being Krypto and Superman just chilling in the park. And then this dog show up that looks like Black Adam, obviously, also voiced by The Rock. And then Black Adam showing up, also voiced by The Rock.
There was 3 rocks.
3 rocks
in there. Krypto,
man,
Black Adam, dog, and Black
the
Adam,
multiverse, man. It's crazy,
dude. It's crazy, bro.
But yeah, so that was actually super cool interaction. And then they were like, I'm cool and I'm better. And it's obviously, I mean, I don't think that's going to lead to anything. That's
building up the hype.
Promotion for Black Adam.
For Black Adam.
I don't think it's going to lead anything into the world of DC League Super Pets, but it's just promoting Black Adam.
I thought that part was so hype because for so long, Warner Brothers has been known as not being very well connected, a lot of single projects. But this was so cool. I mean, you have an animated movie for kids that in the end credit scene is hyping up, promoting the live action
movie coming this October. Yeah,
I felt like that was really cool.
It was.
I was on the edge of it was literally just me and Michael in the theater.
It was.
Everybody else had left.
Everybody left.
Even the AMC employees were in there. They're like, you guys can leave. Like, bro, there's an end credit scene, my boy.
We're watching it.
Yeah.
I knew about it. DC posted. There's 2 end credit scenes.
Everyone dipped though. I thought honestly, bro, that scene was, when I think about it, like top tier compared to some of the other
I agree.
interactions.
I agree.
Like for real.
It was great. I do agree. All right, now it's time for the rating. All right, I'll hit us off with a rating. So I was like, what am I going to give this movie? But I think the consensus of what I came to is, decent but not great. So kind of like average, but right there, average. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
All right.
I thought about like a 6.5. I thought 7 was too high for me personally.
Yeah.
But 6.5, I was like, that's still not exactly the number I'm looking for. So I think 6 fits a little bit more with the personality of the movie.
Yeah. When I got out of the movie, I think I told this to you. I was like, I think that's a 6.5.
You did, yeah.
And I definitely feel like, it's obviously, I had just seen it. I was a little biased. But, as I had the weekend to think about it, gather together my pros and cons, I also decided it's between a 5 and 7 for sure. But I was like, I don't think it's a 6.5 no more. Yeah. So I settled with a 6 too as well. We're in agreement with this one. I think that's what I gave. I think like freaking Black Widow, and I honestly think this movie was better.
Yeah.
I can't really justify giving it 6.5 exactly, but I think for what it is, for who it kind of focuses on, and just what it accomplished, I think 6 is pretty solid. I don't know, as long as it's somewhere in there and not higher than a 7, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah,
like I said, not a terrible movie, but it's not great.
10 out of 10. I'm just kidding.
It's not Morbius.
Not Morbius.
It's not Morbius
it can't
level.
Be Morbius.
If Morbius was in it,
if it was DC League of Super Pets plus Morbius, it would have been a 10.
It would have been over in a couple seconds.
Oh, for sure. Been the best movie.
That would
ever
have been very interesting.
Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Here's When the Moment is available on all major podcast platforms. Yeah. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon Music. Check us out. We really appreciate the listens. We appreciate the downloads. So thank you all to our listeners out there. As far as our announcements and our upcoming stuff coming out, on Thursday, we got our latest superhero news part 3. That's coming out. That's going to be a ton of Marvel stuff, a lot of new rumors, a lot of new, I don't know, a lot of stuff, basically. I forget what we just talked about. But for the first time ever, Michael is going to be talking about his experience also at the end at Raleigh's GalaxyCon. So he got to sit in a Q&A with some of the Clone Wars cast with Giancarlo Esposito. So we have some cool, stuff from that. So be sure to tune in this Thursday, 5 a.m., It's coming at you.
Yeah. And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 2000.